Alright guys, so in this tutorial we're going to be creating a all about me collage overlay. Creating the overlay will allow us to bring some of our face through, which will really tie the whole piece together. So your first step, you're going to create a side view portrait. So your side view portrait needs to be on a white surface or a surface that has a kind of contrasting background to you. This way we can see our edges really clearly, and we can use our quick selection tool. My picture's a little blurry in here. Make sure you guys have a lot better of an image. Have a partner take the picture for you. I was by myself, unfortunately. But the first step is you will use your quick selection tool. With your quick selection tool, do one click at a time so that in case you mess up, you can just go one step back instead of having to start all over again. Once you have your character quick selected, hold down Command X to cut him out. And we're going to create a new workspace. So for the new workspace, we're going to go to File, New, and we're going to be creating a 12 by 12 workspace. And you can do that by changing inches to pixels to inches, change width to 12, height to 12, keep your resolution at 300. Everything else can stay the same, and then hit Create. Once we are in our nice new workspace, hold down Command V to paste your portrait. You're going to then transform it by hitting Command T. Hold down Shift while you're doing this to keep it proportional. If I go any direction, it's still going to stay proportional, whereas if I let go of Shift, it starts getting a little wonky, which we don't want. When you're making your character bigger, try and fill up at least 75% of the workspace. Make sure he's all the way at the bottom, and make sure he or she is in the center of the page, and you can see this with the pink centered line and the pink line at the bottom. If your character wasn't at the bottom, you would also see a white line, which you don't want. Once he or she's blown up, hit the check mark, and then we're going to start adding pieces. So there's 3 different ways we can do this, or a few different ways we can do this. The first way to do it is we're going to go to our browser, and we're going to type in something that relates to you. So whether this is a place you've lived, what some things you've done, hobbies, favorite foods, that type of thing. And you're just going to search. So my computer's being weird. And look up Snow State Seawolf. Go over to images. Kind of like this image right here. So I'm just going to click on the thumbnail. This is the first method. I'm going to drag it down. I'm going to paste it in. And I'm going to let go. So since we kind of have this ugly white background, we're going to get rid of that. So transform it bigger, holding down Shift again. Doesn't matter if it's blurry right now. When we hit Enter, it will fix itself. We'll then go to our quick selection tool, and we'll start quick selecting everything we want. Again, just doing a little clicks in case you mess up. There we go. We can hit Command X to cut out the selection we want. Since the selection we want is gone now, we can delete layer 2, or that layer that we just added. We can hit Command V to paste. We need to go back to our Move tool now, so we can move him. And I'm going to line this guy up with my forehead, but I'm going to push it just past my forehead, and we can clean that up later. So how we're going to clean that up is we're going to turn the opacity now down to 50%. We're going to go to our eraser tool. Turning the opacity will make this see-through. And we're going to erase just along the lines, doing clicks at a time in case we mess up, so we don't have to start all over again, because that's really frustrating to do. Once you have it lined up with your face, you can turn the opacity back up, and we'll move on to the next one. Alright, so for my next image, I'm going to go with a California burrito. I'm going to find an image that I like. This looks delicious. But for this one, we're going to be using a different method. So for this one, click on the image, right-click, Save Image As. Save it as something you're going to remember. Cali B. We're going to go into Photoshop. We're going to go to File, Open, or Command O. We're going to find our Cali B file. Going to open that up. Now this is going to be a lot harder to quick select. So for this one, I'm going to be using the lasso tool. So the lasso tool, we're going to be cutting it out as we go. To do this, you need to click and hold. Keep holding for as long as you're tracing. I'm going to go just along the outside of this image because we can get rid of some of that negative white space later. All right, once you're done, Command X to cut it. Bring it into our file, wherever it is. Command V. Use your move tool to move it wherever you would like. I'm going to put this right here. It kind of works with my hair at the top. But one thing I don't like how this is covering. So there's two ways I can do this. I can move the Sonoma State above it, or I can get rid of it with a layer mask tool. So to get rid of it with a layer mask tool, I'm going to click on layer 3. I'm going to click on the layer mask, which is the paper with the hole at the bottom. I'm going to use my paintbrush tool, making sure this top box, the foreground color, is black. And I'm going to erase parts of the seawolf, parts of the burrito so I can see the seawolf. What I like about the layer mask tool is if we have our opacity set lower on our brush, it makes it a little bit more see-through, which I think looks nicer in the long run. Rather than cutting out lots of the image, you can just see the parts that you need. Again, we need to go back and clean up this edge. So I'm going to get off my layer mask and I'm going to click back on the burrito. I'm going to turn the opacity of the burrito down. I'm going to find my eraser. And again, I'm just going to erase. Since we're clicked on the California burrito layer, it won't erase any other section of the image. It will only erase the California burrito. So just go along really carefully. Don't erase too much like I think I did. All right, and we'll turn our opacity back up. And we're going to continue moving along. So the next one I'm going to do, and the last one I'm going to do, we'll just do a soccer ball. I'm going to get an English Premier League one. I really like this guy. I'm going to click and drag it back in. Going to paste it, transform it. We're going to quick select it because this one will be an easy one. Command X, delete. Command V to paste it. Get back to our move tool. Then we'll find an area. I'm going to create a layer mask on this Sonoma State so I can get rid of just like that. All right, so I don't want to bore you guys. I'm going to show you guys how to get to the next step. But if I had this whole thing filled out, the next step would be to flatten it. So to flatten it, I'm going to click on my top image. I'm going to go down to the bottom image. I'm going to hold down Control. I'm going to click. And then I'm going to flatten image so that it's all one file. The next step, so this is going to be the one that I just did. The next step is going to be to open up our portrait again. To do so, we're going to need to make a copy. To make a copy, right-click or Control-click, duplicate, go back into Photoshop, open, find your file, and then it'll open up again. So at this point, you're just going to be following those first 3 or 4 steps we took. Quick selection, opening up a 12 by 12 page, which I think I have one somewhere. We're going to paste it in. We're going to transform it, holding down Shift, keeping it about the same size as last time. All right. Next step would be to make a copy. To make a copy of your completed layer, click on the copy, hold Command J. You can then continue holding down Command and tap C so we can make a copy of that layer. And we're going to bring that layer into our 12 by 12 new page. We'll hit Command V, Command T, and we'll transform it so it's about the same size. If your overlay is a tiny bit bigger than the portrait itself, that's okay, because we can clean that up a little bit later. All right, hit Enter to set it. Make sure that you're on your collage layer. Turn the opacity down to 50, anywhere between 50 and 60. And then we're going to create a layer mask on your collage layer. So again, the layer mask is the paper with the hole in the bottom. Using your paintbrush with the foreground colors set to black. Turn the opacity down anywhere from 40 to 70. You'll turn the hardness down to 25 or below, and set your brush to the soft round pressure brush. So this is going to allow us to erase our parts of our collage, to reveal parts of our face, which will create the collage overlay as we saw earlier. So some tips for this part is, I think getting the main facial features is a big part of this. To keep big parts of your collage in there, keep the opacity closer to 40. And it won't cover everything up too much. I think it's a good idea to get rid of, if you use the lasso tool, it's a good idea to get rid of a lot of that white space that was left by the lasso tool. So in this California burrito up here, getting rid of the plate that was there. Getting rid of this part around my dog Charlie. This is kind of bright down here, so I might pull some of this out so it connects my hair. And then just cleaning up as I go. So I'm also going to need to erase parts of this overlay. So that we're still lining up. And then once you've cleaned everything up, we're going to flatten the image. I'm kind of rushing now, so you guys don't have to watch me do all of this. But you'll flatten the image, clicking on the first layer, going to the bottom layer, right-clicking or control-clicking, and flattening the image. Once you're done, export it as a JPG and save it to Google Classroom.